Informer Plays. I'm the Indian Informer, and today we're playing Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. This game just came out today, and I think it has a very good chance of being a Game of the Year contender, maybe even Game of the Year. We will see. I got to review this game. You can head over to theindianformer.com and check out all my thoughts, deep, very smart thoughts about Citizen Sleeper 2, but today we're going to be streaming, so this is going to be spoilers. If you want to go and play this on your own and you don't want to see anything about this, I understand. Pause, have a great Friday, go play the game, come back, see how things differed when I chose things and when we chose things versus when you chose things and how your path went. I'm very, very excited to jump into this because I absolutely loved this game. I can see some people in the chat. Hello, everybody. Welcome into the chat. And that's going to be very important because this game has a lot of choices to make, and I'm going to be asking you throughout the stream what we should do in various different situations. I think the first is going to be what class we pick. Oh. I almost knocked over my mic, which I think is working. I believe my mic is working for the first time in forever. It just, it just went, so I don't trust it because that's not how these things work. If you don't know, if you're new, welcome in, have a happy Friday. The game that I play every week is decided by my community, specifically the people at the video tier of my Patreon and above. So if you want to be part of that group, go ahead and join in, and you can choose my fate. A lot of the times, they're absolutely fantastic games like Citizen Sleeper 2. Sometimes they're games that my community likes to see me struggle in. It's always a good time no matter what, but if you want to be in the tier of you are making those decisions at the highest level with me, making the polls that people choose into, you can jump into the indie enthusiast role. And two of those, I hope, are here in the chat, are Jawar Hello and Zachary Bliggy. Thank you both for being members at that tier and just helping everything work. I don't think I have a ton Citizen Sleeper 2, obviously a sequel to Citizen Sleeper 1, which was a big cult hit, deservedly so. This is supposedly going to be one of the last, or the last game in the IP, so this is, the franchise is perhaps done after this. I don't know, I always leave room open for this, but the developer did say this is probably the last Citizen Sleeper you're going to be getting. I think it's a great ending for this particular franchise. I don't want to spoil the ending or anything, but it ends very interestingly, and it changes a lot of gameplay elements, or it kind of introduces more gameplay elements to it. It involves a little bit more travel, of going out and seeing different things and different areas. So it also involves a lot more management of your fuel and your supplies, because when you are traveling about, you need those things. It also allows you to recruit people to your squad. Before, in the first game, you had NPCs, you had a lot of friends that you enjoyed, and great stories throughout both. But in this case, you actually get to recruit them to your crew, so you can use their skills if your skills don't manage everything themselves. And it's a really cool system. I like it a lot. There is also, the clock is always ticking, and that was the case in the first one. But they've changed the way that, like, this is kind of a literal clock is always ticking situation, which there's tension. There's always tension in this game. I love it so much. Jawar, hello, welcome in. I was just talking about you. I bet you could hear or feel your ears burning, hear me talking about you. But let's go ahead and jump in to Citizen Sleeper 2, and I'm gonna need help picking the class. So here we go. If I can actually click to start. I might just play with I was gonna play with my, there it is, okay. We're not gonna continue. I have about 15 hours in this game, but we're gonna start a new game here. The Machinist was what we picked the first time. I have actually played this on stream before, and we all picked Machinist. And then in my other role, I picked Operator. Don't let that, or maybe do let that influence whatever you're gonna pick. There are 3 different difficulties. I don't know if I will ever actually try the dangerous difficulty. I think risky is a wonderful balance of feeling the tension of the game and really like feeling the risk reward so that you feel triumphant when you succeed. Safe, I think, is good if you're maybe just wanting to experience the story, which is a totally valid way to play. But I do like a little risk in my gameplay, so we're gonna go with risky on this one. Okay. Hello, chat. Jabor, hello. Is this the kind of game where I need to have played Citizen Sleeper 1 first? It is not. I kind of recommend jumping into 2. I love Citizen Sleeper 1, but it's sort of an anthology a little bit. This is not a direct sequel. It is in the same universe, which is funny because we're in space. But the main character's not the same sleeper as the first one. The stories are in different kind of sectors of the universe, so we're not crossing over a lot. There are a lot of fun callbacks to the first game. And there are some like Easter eggs in there, but overall you're not gonna have missed out on anything. The only reason I might recommend someone try Citizen Sleeper 1 first is if you're just totally new to the idea of this game mechanically. I've heard people call it a visual novel. It's not. Well, I mean, in the way that video game genres work, they are imperfect, and you try the best you can to explain what a game is via them. But the best way I can explain this game to people is that it is a tabletop RPG made virtual. So you have a lot of text. You can pretend a DM is running a game and telling you all the descriptions and all of the feelings of the characters and all of that. And then you roll for your skills to either pass or fail various different activities. It's so kind of tabletop RPG coded. If you're at all aware of how that gameplay works, then you're gonna completely understand how this works and you're gonna pick it up very quickly. If you've never really been into that scene, maybe getting your feet wet with Citizen Sleeper 1 is a little bit better because it does have a much more pared down gameplay system. But I really enjoy, I'm a big D&D fan, so I really enjoyed the first game, so I already knew what I was getting into, and I really enjoy what they've done with the gameplay here. But in order to start, let's choose our class. You can see the tabletop RPG coded right from the beginning. We're picking a class. We are going into, this is, let's see, the Operator. So the Operator, not good for brute strength. You can see the Endure skill here is completely red. You will never be able... Joar Hello says, you see tabletop RPG like, and I'm sold immediately. Joar Hello, that's what this is. I love it so much. It's such a brilliant interpretation of a tabletop RPG for virtual space. I love it. Okay, so for the Operator, the Endure is red because you will never get that skill, ever. You can, throughout the game, you do level up, you do get, like, points you can put into, like, your different skill things, but you will never ever be able to get an Endure skill, which means if you are in a situation where Endure is the only skill you can use, you can use it, but you're almost guaranteed to not pass. Like, maybe you can hope for a neutral, like, squeeze by. So yeah, do we want to be the Operator who has no Endure skill, but also can re-roll the lowest dice for stress? You'll understand what that means later, but just think about it. Do we want to be the extractor who has endurance for days? Lots of brawn going on here, but they're not very good at like emotional intelligence and kind of figuring out what's going on in a situation. Never ever be able to be good at that. But for one stress, you can add +2 to the lowest crew dice, so anybody in your crew can be brought up with you. Or do we go with machinist, who's not particularly like charismatic? You're not going to engage with people very well, but you've got a little bit of everything else: endurance, intuition. You've got interface and engineering skills. So you're good with working on all the things that need to be worked on in a space station. So what are we thinking, chat? We've got, plus their special bonus is for 1 stress, you get +2 and focus lowest dice. Interesting. That's kind of cool. I kind of like that. But anyway, chat, we've got machinist, we've got operator, and we've got extractor. Go ahead and throw in the chat. It looks like we've already got a vote for operator. I'll give you a second here. Let you see their art a little bit, because the art in this game is always fantastic. I love it very much. It's very minimalist, but it's got a lot of feeling packed in. And a lot of the feeling comes also with the sounds that you hear. The audio design is amazing, but also just the descriptions, the text that we're seeing. I've got my tea ready. I'm very excited because I'm going to be reading a lot, and I'm ready. So I've got my tea. I'm going to have my voice ready to go and warmed up. Okay, chat, just a little bit more to go. I see a few people in there possibly thinking about what we want. So do we want the extractor, the operator, or the machinist? Currently, we're looking at operator here. Oh no, I'm already starting to go. What's the engage skill? Is that combat focused stat? No. Drawer hello, there's not really combat in that way. Engage is going to be probably like athletics is the closest you'll get to in like D&D. It's probably in that area, but it's not, there's no one-to-one translation for exactly what it is, but it is kind of the brawn, heavier strength things. Okay. With that, I think we're gonna go with operator. So let's jump in. We're gonna be really intuitive. We're gonna be able to interface with technology and people. Engineering's not strong, but we can upgrade anything that's not red. Here we go. Citizen Sleeper 2. Unknown. A vast and dark interior. In the moment before waking the dark space, before conscious thought, you struggle to find the pieces of yourself. Usually these pieces come with a particular cadence, each appearing sequentially, like a boot process of an old terminal. First, your body, artificial, compromised but relaying sense data all the same. Man, I need to start reading better if this is gonna go good. Then, it's context. The breeze of air filtration, the soft contact of your birth in 0G. Then, emotion. Coming into focus, coming into your body, bringing with it that first instinct, the one that has framed your past 100 cycles, fear. But that familiar sequence does not arrive. Instead, you are unmoored in space, your body distant, your context silent, even your emotions somehow obscured and scattered. Among that disarray, only one familiar thing arrives, the fear. It's a scrambled panic fear, the drowning fear, the falling fear, the fear that makes you reach desperately for any stable point. It is the fear that tells you something is wrong. Something is very wrong with you. Wake up, sleeper. The voice is whispered in your ear, an act that makes you suddenly aware of your head, pulsing in pain, your body rigid with tension. Sleeper. A familiar name. A mind copied, emulated, a body built, implanted. One person sleeping until their debt is worked away. Their double being made to work, to be consumed, and eventually to be destroyed. A proxy, an emulation, a sleeper. That's what you are. Like, okay, in the first couple of paragraphs, this is Jill talking, no more reading, they have brought us up to speed with your current situation. You are afraid. That's all you need to know. And exactly what it is you are, in case anybody has started this game, like, and they haven't played the first one, they have no context. And what that means kind of like in the world, like how this world works. A sleeper is an emulated mind in a constructed body of an basically indentured servant. You are an indentured servant of a person who is in like a cryogenic sleep. So they've gotten themselves so far into debt, they have literally sold off their consciousness for a series of time until their debt is paid off, and then the consciousness gets to come back, and you, the sleeper, are destroyed. Like, what a concept. If it to make you think about, like, what is it to be human, what is it to be sentient, what is it to be alive. There's also strong overtones here of like super late stage capitalism, how you can sell yourself off, like what belongs to you, what belongs to the emulation of you. Like, it's so good. That's a large part of why this game is so good, because there's so many implications just from this scenario. Okay, let's continue. But you escaped. You remember that now. Broke free of your corporate creators, Ensign Orb, in search of a future. You cannot remember the details of your escape, but you know the fear has been with you ever since. Again, what happens when the emulation escapes? What happens to the person who's sleeping, who sold themselves to slavery, if you break free? It's what an amazing thing to think about. All of a sudden, you remember, you have eyes, and your eyes flicker open. Pale eyes and a pale face, Lane. The name comes with its own specific sensation of fear, one you recoil from instinctively. Sorry to interrupt, a sharp smirk. But this ends here. Like, this is literally the first shot we've gotten in the this is the first visual we've gotten in the game so far. But, like, I've already imagined so many different things, and that's why this writing is so phenomenal, and how you can tell this writing is so phenomenal, because you don't really need a lot of visual prompting to get your imagination going here. And Lane looks absolutely scary as hell. I wouldn't want to mess with this person. You search your mind for more than a name. Is this how you reward me for my generosity? Lane is leaning over your horizontal, floating body, looking down into your eyes. I took you in, protected you, gave you a purpose. You try to look away to the corners of your vision, to find something you understand. Your body does not respond. But I suppose that wasn't enough. He reaches into the pocket of his jacket and retrieves a small vial. This wasn't enough. The vial glitters. The object you know, and have known for a long time. Stabilizer. The drug that keeps your artificial body, your emulated mind, from inevitable decay. Your emulated, the only balm for your planned obsolescence. The liquid rolling in the vial fills you with disgust. Lane pockets the vial. But it would be wasted on you now, after what you've done to this body of yours. He looks at you with palpable disgust. Lane's eyes scan your body, and as they do, you become aware of the wires and tubes attached to you. Those that were meant to free you from your dependence, from the stabilizer, and the control it grants Lane. They're free, piece of shit. They don't need you anymore. The voice comes from somewhere behind Lane's head. It's a voice you know, but when you search your mind to try to understand why, you find only dizzying darkness. Shut up, Lane barks the command, and you hear the sound of impact, of pain, from somewhere else in the room. You try to move your limbs again, and this time you feel a flicker, the twitch of a finger. You feel the extension and compression of synthetic muscle. Free, are you? Lane smirks. You were free when I disabled your tracker. When I gave you the stabilizer you needed. He scans your body with angry eyes. Now, you aren't free. You're just broken. I had such big plans for you, Sleeper. I'd invested in you. Lane grips your arm hard, and you feel a jolt of reaction. You will the arm to move. But you've ruined all that. Lane speaks louder over the sound of struggle behind him. I will try to preserve your body, of course. I have my own uses for it. But your emulation? You feel one of his hands searching behind your head. He finds and grips the thick cable running into the port at the base of your skull. I will burn that out. Lane jerks forward, slamming across your body, then spinning away out of sight. You feel yourself rolling, the cables plugged into you, looping and wrapping around your limbs. Then you feel hands steadying you, pulling cables. You glance around wildly to see someone diligently unplugging you. You meet his eyes. And he looks like this. Hey! He waves a hand in your dazed face. We need to move. Lane won't be out long. He unloops a cable from around your waist. Sleeper? Help me out here. You blink slowly. Do I know this person? He leans over you and you feel his hands on the connector, flicking switches, releasing locks. Come on. He tugs the connector clear and pulls you up. You see the room you're in for the first time, filled with tech and terminals, wires waving everywhere, all lit by big windows looking out on an impossibly bright screen-filled street beyond. In the corner, you see the dark shape of a floating body surrounded by a glittering constellation of crimson baubles. Is that blood? Oh man, what a description. Dark shape of a body surrounded by glittering constellation of crimson baubles. Is that blood? Come on. That's so good. Move! You're wrestled and shoved towards the door, which slides open in front of you, and then you are out in all the brightness, all the movement, gliding hard towards some unknown destination. You come to a stop in a dark alley. The one who guided you here, pausing to catch his breath, he doubles over beside a massive life support unit that sends a lukewarm breeze across your skin. You stare at him, trying to recall anything about him. You notice his tattered jacket, his lightweight clothes. You remember the station runs hot, something about the power that flows through the place. He looks up and meets your eye. What's going on, Sleeper? He wipes sweat from his forehead and it floats away in a swarm of spheres. Talk to me. Okay. Chat, do we want to ask who he is? Do we want to ask what was that, or where are we? What's the first thing that comes to your mind? We've had this interaction. We don't know where we are. We don't know who we are. We don't know who we're talking to. Okay, we're gonna ask, who are you? You see a concerned frown cross his face. Don't mess with me, Sleeper. That's not funny. He comes closer, eyeing you carefully. What station are we on? He narrows his eyes, waits for the answer. You close your eyes, trying to recall. You force your way through the dark to the image of a station. No, a city, rowing on the back of a vast set of hexagonal solar cells, shadowed by them. You open your eyes. Dark side. The word leaves your mouth like an exhale, an instinct. Before you heard yourself sound it out, you didn't know it was there. He sighs. And me, who am I? You see something like fear in his eyes, panic perhaps. You stare hard at his face, the slight upturn of his mouth, the intensity of his stare. Nothing comes. He closes his eyes and drops his head, putting a hand to his temple. The reboot. He's speaking quietly to himself. Lane interrupted the process, and he lifts his head and stares at you. We need to keep going. We need to leave. He turns and kicks off down the alley. Come on, the rig can't be far. As you're led through the passages and serviceways of the station, you try to recall your life here. The texture, the temperature of Darkside feels familiar, but you struggle to pin specific memories to it. Focusing hard, you recall waking up in these passages, cycle after cycle, the rhythms of the station flowing over you along with the crowds. You recall desperation and the slow decay of your body that caused it. Then Lane, those pale eyes, offering you a glittering vial, stabilizer, the promise of supplying more for your work, a deal he locked you into like a cage. There your memory fails. But in the dark beyond that moment, the residue of panic, of fear, remains. You were Lane's prisoner, Lane's plaything. You shudder in the cold passage. Wait. Your guide holds up a hand and you stop your glide using the wall. Ahead, you see the tunnel opens up into a wide open bay, with a few doors leading to cylindrical tunnels. The docks. They're watching the rig. He nods towards the docks, and you see one of the doors has a couple of figures flanking it. One covered in ornate tattoos, the other with bright silver implants along their cheekbones. It's Subo, Lane's guys. He looks at you and shakes his head in frustration. All this, it's not coming back to you, is it? Something catches your eye and you see he's playing with a coin, nervously turning it over and over in his fingers. He sees you looking and slips it away. He places a hand on his chest. I'm Seraphin, all right? He looks pained when he speaks. Lane, he was our captor, both of us. We did this so we could escape. We needed to reboot you, to break your dependence on stabilizer. He pauses. You know what this is, right? And you nod meekly. But Lane interrupted me back there. The reboot didn't complete, and he shakes his head. We can still make this work. He looks back at the docks. I'll lead them away, you get the dock bridge open. If we make it to the rig, I know how to get us in. Got that? He searches your face for sign of recognition. I'm gonna go with what's the rig? Seraphin looks annoyed. A ship? Our ship? Or at least it soon will be. Lane assigned it to us when we were on jobs for him. Get that door open. He pats you on the shoulder. I know you know you can do this. Seraphin kicks off hard and glides into the docks. Over here, shit-ads. He bellows to the guards as he barrels through. They immediately push off from the wall, giving chase. Okay, first tutorial. This is how the game works. During scenes, you may encounter skill checks, where you can perform certain actions using your skills. Like the dice actions you will encounter later, skill checks have a positive, neutral, or negative outcome. The better the rating of your skill, the more likely you'll succeed on a check. The odds of success are displayed when you select the check. You can see more info in the guide section of the pause menu. Which is cool, by the way, if you ever want to, I don't remember exactly how this works, you can always look it up. Okay, because we have chosen the operator, we have a 50-50 chance of a positive or neutral for interface, because we're pretty good at interfacing. But our engineering skill, pretty bad, so the best we can hope for here is a neutral. So what we're going to do is probably take the interface, and it's going to be 50-50. Neutral is you pass, but you didn't do great. Positive, of course, something good happens. So let's hope for the best, everybody. Off with their heads in the chat for good luck. Hack the door. We have rolled a 3, so it was neutral. You shift to the control panel, trying to understand the readout. The door is on emergency lockdown. Somewhere you hear more shouting. Your fingers hover over the keys. You switch to the administration layer and begin flooding the door operation system with spoof requests, desperately hammering the controls. The control OS crashes and the door judders halfway open before falling. Go, go! Seraphin flies past you through the doorway into the docking tunnel. You turn to see the guards approaching fast across the docks and quickly glide after Seraphin. Seraphin is already at the rig's door, inputting an entry code. The rig's door scissors open and you both rush inside. Quickly! Seraphin grabs you by the arm and drags you up to the cockpit, the ship's layout hazy in your mind. He dumps you in a flight seat and straps himself into his own. You see him tap a series of buttons as he does, talking to himself. Come on. The rig's drive rumbles into life and Seraphin slams a button on the console. You feel the force of the ship's acceleration as it pulls away. We've done it, everybody. We've escaped. Dwarhillo says, does a negative result always mean you fail the check, or can it mean you succeed but with negative consequences? For the most part, Dwarhillo, it does mean you succeed with negative consequences, but there can be situations where you fail entirely and you just don't get the reward you needed. I think in that particular situation, you still would have gotten away, but you would have been much worse off. The consequences are always bad. This game is very much about risk-reward, and sometimes the risk really hits you, and it hits you right in the dice most of the time, in a very clever way. Okay, we are now in the rig. We've gotten away, and I just want to point out we've only gotten about like 5 different visual scenes, but I can still imagine everything that happens, like step by step, because of the description, which is, again, just a testament to how beautiful the writing is. We're in the rig, your refuge in the belt. As the ship glides into place on the connecting bridge, its automatic systems nudge there by the port's docking protocols. You feel a sense of relief. Seraphin burned hard out of dockside, and you dropped in and out of consciousness in your seat as the rig made its way across the belt. I'm just imagining like your face literally being like pulled back in all the G's. But now, with open space between you and Lane, you feel fresher, more awake. Seraphin breaks the silence. We're good, Sleeper. His eyes don't leave the monitor, and you realize this part of your escape is routine for him. You and he must have docked the ship countless times in your work for Lane. The problem is, you don't remember any of them. We made it, he whispers, closing his eyes and letting out a sigh. Okay, are we gonna reassure him by saying we did, or are we gonna stay silent? How are we feeling about the character of our character? Are they the kind of person who's going to just, like, I don't remember anything? Okay, no, we're gonna strong and silent type it. He shakes his head, then unclips from the pilot seat. Seraphin reaches up, flicking through a set of switches in a practiced fashion, completing the shutdown. You watch, a little frustrated with your own uselessness. Running the rig, you realize, is just another thing you've forgotten. A clunk that runs through the walls of the ship is followed by a short, percussive alarm tone from the pilot's console. Docking complete. Seraphin kicks off from his seat, twisting as he glides past you towards the back of the cockpit. His hand finds the rails on either side of the door, and he pauses, facing into the corridor beyond. He turns back to you, backlit in cold cyan. We need a plan. He glances around. Lane's not going to let us slip away quietly. He sighs. Okay, what do we need to do? Do we need to talk? We need to talk this out? Do we need to keep running, or are we hiding? Dwarhillo likes the stoic type. What does our stoic type believe? Does our stoic type like to talk? Do they like to run? Or do we hide here? I don't know. I feel like maybe the stoic type would just hunker down. I don't know if he wants to talk out. You think hide, Dwarhillo? Yeah, I don't think... The person that our character is becoming in my head, stoic, not trying to like make Seraphin feel any better about the situation, I don't think he'd want to talk to Seraphin, and I don't think that they want to run. I think we're hiding. Seraphin glances around. I hope you don't mean on the rig. He smiles a little, his teasing still a little unsure. His smile fades. Maybe, but on the approach, Hexport looked like a pretty small place to disappear into. We have bought ourselves some time. He glances through the cockpit window at the blinking lights of the station. You may not remember Hexport, but I do, and there are plenty of opportunities here for us, if we can keep our heads down. He turns back to the corridor. That's what we'll do. He pushes off and glides towards the main lock, and you follow, pulling yourself along, hand over hand in 0G. We already emptied the tank on this thing. He slaps a hand against the ship's insides. So we need to refuel, and that won't be cheap, so... but if you and I know one thing, Sleeper, it's how to work. I'm gonna get myself reacquainted, see if I can turn up any old connections. People that might throw us an easy contract. You... He glances back over his shoulder. You keep out of trouble. I think I'm gonna say I can handle myself. Even though I don't know if I can handle myself. Seraphim stops at the airlock. Look, Sleeper, you aren't yourself. He sighs. Stopping the reboot halfway through, he pulls a worn crew jacket from a locker and starts pulling it on. I don't know what that did to you. He jams an arm in his sleeve. I don't want you passing out in... He stops. Okay. To what point are we stoic? Are we just, I'll be fine, don't worry about me? Are we annoyed when people show that kind of care and attention? It's like, don't baby me. Or, pragmatic. It'll take both of us. What do we think? I think these are 3 viable options here. I'll be fine, you think? Okay. Yeah, we don't need to be... Maybe we're having a bad day, but we don't need to be particularly, like, aggressive about it. Seraphim drops his head, swearing to himself. He grabs another crew jacket and thrusts it at... Just put the damn hood up, will you? You take it and you slip it on. I'm gonna say thank you. I'm gonna be nice about it. Seraphim nods. He stabs at the button to open the lock. The inner door hisses open and Seraphim glides through. Wait for a little bit, then leave. Anyone looking for us will be looking for 2 people traveling together. He looks at you in your worn crew jacket, a limited disguise for what's clearly a sleeper. We'll meet back here later. Any trouble? Same thing, meet here. He surveys your disguise again and shakes his head. This is a shitty idea. He gives you one last look. Maybe find yourself something to eat. Suddenly you recognize Seraphim's instinct to look after you. A flash of a relationship now lost to the reboot. Catch! Seraphim throws a handful of something towards you. You manage to grab the projectiles, and then you open your hand to see a stack of cryo chits. Those should get you some food. We'll need some more fuel and supplies. He grimaces. That means odd jobs on the station for both of us. Seraphim kicks off and glides down the docking bridge. Don't go too far, alright? As he shouts as he leaves. Take it slow. With that, he's gone, leaving the connecting bridge and heading to Hexport's docking concourse. You wait for a moment in silence. Okay. I don't think we think about Seraphim. I don't think we're there yet. Jorilo says, I think our character so far doesn't really trust anyone, even Seraphim. Yeah, I'm kind of with you. So I don't think we think about Seraphim. I don't know if we think about Lane. I think, considering he's just trying to move on and hide, I think he's pragmatic. I think he's probably just like, okay, let's make a plan. Agree. Okay, let's make that plan. You try to think ahead to what might be coming. You need to work. That's the first step, but what then? Lane will be coming eventually. The sooner you can put some distance between you and Hexport, the better. So that's the plan. Rest, resupply, and run. The 3 R's. You shake the thoughts from your head and pull the jacket tight. Let's see what Hexport has to offer. You kick off and glide into port. Okay, this is largely, like, first of all, this is the splash screen. Welcome to Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector. This is what the gameplay in the game is going to mostly consist of, getting to a new place and discovering all it has to offer. As you go through things, more and more things open up, and it's very cool. And if you fail, those things don't open up. So don't fail. Let's see, tutorial. The game runs in cycles. It's essentially days. during which you can perform actions with your dice, use cryo to buy food, fuel, supplies, and items, progress clocks towards new scenes and events. You can review tutorials at any time in the menu. Okay, so this is the extent of this station so far. We only have a couple of options. And again, if we succeed at doing whatever these things want, more options may open up. If we fail, then they may not, and we may have to leave without any sort of fuel. You can see down at the bottom, we have 24 cryo, that's money, essentially. We have 0 fuel, and we have 2 supplies. That fuel is going to be the most important. Let's see. This is the map so far. We don't have like a world map yet, but to go from station to station takes a set amount of fuel. So if you need to leave so that you don't get caught, you have to have a certain amount of fuel. So that's very important. You also need a certain amount of supplies to keep your people fed, which right now is just you and Seraphim. Okay. Do we want to go to the Hexport Exchange where the goods are? Do we want to go to the Hexport Docks, a busy way station dock where we might hear of some opportunities, meet some people? Who knows? I think we don't have a ton of money. So this is going to be our opportunity perhaps to get it. Tutorial. In Citizen Sleeper 2, you perform actions by assigning action dice to them. The higher the dice you assign, the more likely you will succeed in an action. But your dice will be modified by your skill. Skill modifier for the action is displayed on the right and will reduce or increase the value of the dice assigned. Like skill checks, dice actions have 3 outcomes: positive, negative, or neutral. Each action is also rated safe, risky, or dangerous based on the outcome it has. The more dangerous an action is, the more significant both its rewards and consequences are. For more information, check the guide. Okay. So this is the basic setup. It's a little scary looking. Don't worry about that. You will understand how this all works. At the top, you can see all of our dice. Currently, it's almost kind of as if every day your dice re-roll, and they're randomly rolled like dice. It's a d6, so highest is 6, lowest is 1. And we have a fair range right now. We do have a 1, we have a 2, a 4, a 5, and a 6. So at least one of these actions, if we use all of our dice, is going to fail, because the probability of rolling a 1 and getting a good action, not great. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to input a dice into one of these things. This is a skill. Both of these are kind of skill checks. This one takes the engineering skill, which we do not have. We don't have an engineering skill right now, so it would be very bad for us to try to do this. But we do have interface, so we can interface both with people and technology. And we're going to try to impress the brokers. The data brokers are the heart of the exchange. They show off their knowledge by discussing decryption. Maybe you can talk the talk. And then once we succeed, you can kind of follow it as a flowchart. The thing below it says rules of exchange. The exchange buzzes with the conversation of commerce. This is a place where contracts are found. You just need to look. So when we get 4, it's not necessarily 4 successes, because 1 success may give us 2 chunks. But once we fill up that little ring down at the bottom, then we successfully get to know what contracts are out and about. So let's see what else. Before we even commit to that, let's see what the docks look like. Same thing. You've got this kind of flow chart where you can input your dice. It looks like we have engage, pretty neutral, and intuit. So there are really not terrible options here. And same thing, we are trying to get, this time 6, the other one had 4, little chunks in order for the Hexaport connections to happen, which is the Hexport docks thrum with life. There are contacts to be made here, you're sure of it. So we're going to be meeting and learning about people. Gamerhead Podcast, hello Roger, welcome in. You've come in just in time. We're going to be using our dice and figuring out where everything is and how everything works. Dwarhilla says, so you would need to use 1 die for each skill check. Can you only do 5 checks per day then? Yes, that's correct. You can only do 5 checks per day, essentially, if you want to use all 5. So you do have to be very strategic about what you're using. And 2 of those dice, the 1 and the 2, are very likely to fail. So we have to be really strategic about the things we don't care about failing. If we try, let's say, this Explore the Docks, the outcome is very dangerous. So consequences for failing could be very bad. We don't want to mess with that. Let's see. The highest level of skill that we currently have is interface. You can kind of see like the plus on the side here. Let me see if I can. No. Nope, you won't be able to see it. So this is the one that is most likely to succeed. So what happens, I'll go ahead and click on it. When you select a dice, let me go ahead and select the 4 so you can see what happens. The 4 is now a 5. Because we're so good at interfacing, we have upped our possibilities. So we can use that 4 and turn it into a 5 immediately, and we have a 50% chance of a positive or neutral. So it's not going to go bad for us. But, just to show you what happens, if we were to try the trading scrap, we don't have engineering, this is not a skill that we are good in, and put that same 4, now it's a 2 because it's lower. So we have a 50-50 shot of it going neutrally or negatively for us. Okay, so that's not what we want to do. Let's go ahead and put the 4 in interface and make that our first thing. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's a neutral outcome, so we got +1 of the little clock thing that we need. Events can be fulfilled by performing actions, by passing the clock. Okay, so we can decide to interface again, increasingly hiring our success succeeding because we have that 5 and the 6. We can try to make this 2 into a 3 and hopefully make that work. We can try to make the 1 into a 2 and make that work, but like it depends on the kind of player you want to be. Do you want to use your lowest dice in your best skill in order to make the outcomes higher? Or do you want absolute complete success? Like, we're going to get through all of this and then hope for the best, or don't use the lower dice. That's up to you. So what do you guys think? Do we want to go a little bit risky? Do we want 100% chance of succeeding? Do we want to move over to the other area or complete this area? I'll let you think about that for a second. It sounds confusing, but it really is just a simple like, how much chance do I have to succeed in this? It's good to have a second not to talk because there's a lot of talking in this game. Our character is pragmatic, and Dwarhilla says, I would use the 2 die and hold on to the big dice for something else. Okay, that sounds good to me. Let's do that. So using that 2, it becomes a 3. And we now have 25% positive, 25% negative, and 50% neutral. Let's see what happens. Okay, neutral. Now, if we do one of these and we get a super positive, which I'm going to go ahead and do, we may just complete this entire circle here. And there we go. The rules of exchange have been followed. Okay, so now I can explore the Hexaport Canteen and the Trade Hall. So we have access now to a place that will feed us so we can spend money to eat. If you can see just below the dice, there is a kind of white bar with 3 segments. That is our hunger, to put it as clearly as possible. We're not currently very hungry, so I don't think we're gonna use up our money to eat just now. We do, however, desperately need fuel and supplies. So we could use some of the money we have for a little bit of fuel or supplies, or we could try not use any of our money and see what's going on over at the docks. And again, these are not skills. These are skills we're kind of good at. Like, we're not great, we're not bad. So this might be where our 6 comes in. And I kind of want to explore the docks, because it's dangerous. Jor, hello. Out of curiosity, can we see what happens when we fail a check? Sure. Let's explore the docks with a 1. See what happens. Maybe we'll get lucky. But we've got 50-50 neutral, 50-50 negative. It was real bad. So we got the neutral, actually. Which, good for us, good luck. But still something bad happened because it was dangerous and we weren't very good at it. So you'll notice that the hunger meter has gone down. So we are going to starve very quickly. But since we did so well, let's go ahead and finish this off with the total deposit. You have used all your dice for this cycle. You need to end the cycle at your ship. The rig will re-roll them. That's it. We had 5 dice. We can only do 5 things in a day. But because we were so successful, we've opened up new places. So we have, let's see. Oh, it's gambling. We've opened up gambling. We can attempt to put some money in and see what happens, but we don't have any dice, so maybe we'll do that. And I think this is just a meal. And the warehouse is... I think this is just money. We don't have endurance. This is not going to be our thing. We can't really expect success in this one, but I think this is just doing a job for money. Okay, so that's all we can do for today. Let's head back to our ship, the rig. The rig is your ship and home in the Starward Belt. While the rig is docked at a hub, there are multiple areas you can visit. The bunks. You can use dice to reduce your stress. We haven't gained any stress yet, and I don't think we will probably in this stream, but this is very useful. If you use supplies, you can regain your energy, which is your hunger meter, so we can use the supplies that we have to feed ourselves, but that's going to take away from our supplies when we're traveling. Other locations will unlock as you play, and there are some really cool locations on the ship. While the rig is at dock at a hub, your crew will also help to gather resources to contribute to upkeep of the ship, which is an amazing thing for this. It's a new thing for Citizen Sleeper 2. It's a passive resource collection. So when you are, the more people you have recruited to your ship, they will try to make money, they will try to gain fuel, you can try to ask them to get resources, and it will just continue to get more without you having to do anything, which is really nice if you're in like a really desperate situation. But right now we don't have a ton of people on our ship, so we're not going to get a ton. But we're going to probably ask them to look for fuel right now. You can choose which resources they should focus on. They have a random chance of requiring it at the beginning of the following cycle. Okay, so bottom left there, I'm kind of on top of it. But I'm going to ask everybody to go for fuel. And the clock is down below. You can see we are on the run. If we stay in one place for this clock cycle to fill up, we will be captured by Lane. So we don't want that to happen. But we are going to end the day. Just have a nice nap, you know? Everybody's cool. We're in trouble, Sleeper. Seraphin leans into the bunks as you are getting up. Without further explanation, he disappears down the corridor towards the rear of the ship. You drift out into the passage, pulling on your clothes and glide down the length of the rig. The cool air makes you shiver. Seraphin is a silhouette, silently leading the way. He stops at the far end, diverting through a side door, shooting your glance as he does. You find Seraphin inside, holding one of a tangle of arm-thick tubes that are waving in a zero-G engine room. You know what these are. Tuarlo says, so if the clock cycle runs out and Lane catches up, is that game over or just consequences that you would have to deal with? Tuarlo, I never let the clock run out, so I don't know what happens when Lane catches up with you. It's probably very bad. I don't know if it's a game over, but I wouldn't let it happen to you. Unless you want to play around and find out. So, I don't know. Maybe that's how we're in the stream. But, okay. Seraphin's holding some thick tubes and asks if we know what they are. Tubes? Seraphin rolls his eyes, but you see the hint of a smile. Thanks, genius. These are the engine feed lines. He waves one in the air. And before you ask, no, they aren't supposed to be waggling loose. What happened? These must have broken loose when we pushed the ship hard on our way out of Darkside. He looks at the mess. We're lucky the reserve tank is empty, otherwise... He shakes his head. It would have been bad. But he pushes the pipe to the side. No feed from the reserve tank means that the rig's range is limited to local region only. He thumps the large lumpen housing of the engine. This thing can't take us anywhere far. So we fix it. Seraphin's eyes. That's the short of it. Seraphin whacks the engine housing again, harder this time. Just not been our run of luck. He turns and starts gathering the tangled feet of lines, his frustration evident in the violence of his movements. We will need a new set of these, that's for sure. He starts forcing them into a crate. So, how about you try tracking them down? I'll take a look at these things here and see if I can figure out another fix for the reserve tank. He glances up from his work. From what I've heard on Hexport, Factory Row is the place to find ship fitters. Maybe you can do some recon while I sort this place out. It's on the other end of the station. I'm just gonna leave. Strong silent. Wait, Seraphin pauses, seemingly unsure. There's something else. He drops the feed lines and they float, waving the air like tubular seaweed. A great mental image. I've heard word that Lane's on the hunt, he frowns. A message went out everywhere in the local radius of Darkside. He's looking for us. Shit. You said it. Seraphin's eyes. Which is why we need those feed lines. I'm going to try to work something out. Maybe I can improvise a solution. I don't know. He looks down. I'm no ship fitter. But while I do, you go hunting. See what you can turn up, okay? He smiles a weak smile. Get going. You leave the engine room, the clanking sound of Seraphin's cleanup efforts echoing through the ship. Fuel feed lines. That's the next step. You take a deep breath and head out. Okay, so our life just got more complicated, as it almost always does. Not only are we on this ship that we've stolen with a person following after us, but our engine fuel lines are broken and we have to figure out how to fix them, and we don't really have the money for it. You've discovered a drive. Drive is basically the game's jargon for quest. It's your quest. Drives help you track and choose your objectives in Citizen Sleeper 2. The arrow button on the top left opens the drive menu, where you can choose which drive to track. Once a drive is tracked, a yellow marker will be placed above the location that relates to that drive. Drives come in two types, major and minor. On the completion of a major drive rewards 2 upgrade points, and a minor one rewards 1. That's how we upgrade our person. Keep an eye on the drive menu as you progress to see what new opportunities and objections are available, and track those you want to pursue. So right now, our drives exist only as escape hexport. That's what we want to do. Also, at any time we can check to see what our person is looking like, our character sheet essentially. You can upgrade, configure your sleeper. On the left, you can upgrade your skills to improve the skill modifier applied to your dice when you undertake an action. To the right, you can upgrade your push, the unique ability of your class. When upgrading your push, only one upgrade at each level can be active at one time. I didn't remember this, so I made bad choices at the beginning. So essentially, only one of these can be active at one time. So don't try to think you can get no dice damage on a push roll and re-roll at the same time. You can't. Sorry. And you can see, again, we're really good at interface. Interface is our best skill here. Intuit, engage, okay. Engineer, we don't have, but we can upgrade it. Endurance, we will never have. Okay. Now we're back on the ship. What's this? Here's the engine. This is the feed lines. It is reminding us that our engine fuel capacity is extremely limited, but new feed lines would allow you to hook up a reserve tank to increase it. So we're off to find new fuel tanks. We have re-rolled for the new day. We've got 2 1s. That's not helpful. But we have 2 6s. So, you know. Let's head out and see what's going on. Factory Row. This is where Seraphin said we might find what we are looking for. And it is glowing yellow because it's our active drive. Okay. We don't have Endure, so we're not going to use that. And we are very kind of neutral on Endure, so we're not great. We do need this for the main objective. Let's see, Jorlo. Each die has 3 yellow segments under it. And what do these indicate? Jorlo? That is a very eagle-eyed observation. I don't know if we're going to get to this in this particular stream, but the 3 segments below each dice is kind of like their health. When you get enough stress, every time you re-roll your dice, you have a chance of damaging your dice's health, essentially, and when it gets to the bottom, your dice literally shatters. So you no longer have 5 dice, you have 4 dice, or 3 dice. So if you are out on a mission that is very stressful, and you are desperately trying to get things done, you can come back and find yourself with less and less dice. It is very, like, again, the tension of this game gets amazing. I love the tension of this game because you do have to weigh your options so carefully as to, like, how important is it for you to finish this mission versus how important it is for you to continue living, and what supplies you need and how you're going to get away from things. But it's never to the point where you feel oppressed or like I want to quit this game because it doesn't feel like I can continue on it. It is always like you are in a world where you do not hold up the cards and you're fighting through it regardless. And that's always fantastic. Yeah, Hello, it is a really cool system. But we're gonna go for the best here. I'm not playing around. We're trying to get to find what we need, and we have exactly what we need to do that, so we're just gonna find a trusted supplier. Factory Row howls as you glide through its cramped passages. I mean, what an amazing description. It howls as you glide. I love it. Whatever its many bays and rooms once were, they now serve as containers for industry of every kind. Whirring manufacturers precisely engineer components with rapidly shifting arms, while scrappers hammer incessantly at bent ship plates. Everywhere you look, there's energy and activity, and for good reason. Hexport itself is built on a derelict fragments of a solar reflector, and even the small amounts of energy generated by its remaining mirrors is enough to power a city of machines. It's familiar to you, of course, in a strange, far-off way because of Darkside. That place and your memories of it are a muddy haze, but it is hard to forget the glint of its hexagonal reflectors. 10 or 20 times more in number than Hexport's. And that wild, flickering city growing on their back like a tumor. In comparison, Hexport feels provincial. But deep in Factory Row, you could almost be back in Darkside. And then you see them. Tubes, just like the ones Seraphim had. The feed lines. You push over to the display window of the unit, marked Karsten Supply, in block capital cut from hull plate. There, amongst an angled shelf of oversized ship components, sit the feed lines, like some large biomechanical tangle of snakes. You slip inside where the sound of Factory Row is a little screened, and spot a large figure working on a bench, hunched over, concentrating. It seems he doesn't notice you enter. I'm gonna wait patiently. We're the strong silent type. There's Karsten, the intimidating ship fitter. I like how he's got glasses just floating off. You let him work, watching as, despite his heavy build, he delicately aligns the components, their layers slotting like puzzle pieces. After a few moments of observing the process, he turns his head a little towards you. Can I help you? His accent is heavy, but unknown to you. I think we're pragmatic and straight to the point. We're gonna ask about the feed lines. There's a sharp clink as Karsten places his tools and the component against a magnetic plate on the wall. He turns with surprising grace and begins cleaning his hand on a cloth. Those sharp eyes scan you, but Karsten's thick-set features do not betray the results of his assessment. Custom built those for a client that never collected. He looks at his hands while he speaks, checking for stray oil stains. You have one of the old MEVs then. He sounds out the letters in a way you don't recognize as he speaks. You try to recall anything you know about your ship, but the memories elude you. Perhaps Seraphim should have come along. Yeah, that's right. Dr. Mono, welcome in. You're late, but you're right on time, because we're having a great time. We're having a great Friday. Let's see, Troy Hello says, Wes LeBlanc was talking about this game on All Things Nintendo recently. He talked about how stressful it can be. I'm starting to understand why. Yeah, but it's great. It's like a great kind of stress. It's the kind of stress that makes you feel triumphant when you are successful, which makes for a great game. Okay, Carson nods. We just lied. We're great. Always good to see one of those still running. Look. Carson drifts over to where you're standing, imposing his imposing height evident. For a fellow enthusiast like you, he continues in a distinctive monotone, let's say a few hundred cryo on clean shits. He shoots a glance at the feed lines. 400, let's say, to be precise. I don't have 400. We currently have 24. Carson looks you up and down and sniffs. It's expensive, I know, it's a shame, but it's just what they're worth. He screws up his mouth a little into something that might be a smile. However, I'm more of the bartering type anyway. Barter sounds good. Carson nods sagely. There's a little favor I need a crew for, and well, you look like you might be a good fit. He tucks the cloth away in a pocket and clasps his hands. I know of an old Solheim wreck out there, very old, pre-collapse. It's tucked away in a dead zone, so no one has ever really cut it. Not only that, but Solheim derelicts have a habit of triggering nasty security protocols when approached by an unfamiliar ship, so it's been left well alone. But a salvager like you, with an old Solheim rig, I bet it wouldn't even flinch if it saw you coming. He smiles. I have a special interest, a need for that old tech. All those Solheim ships had data core, and while I don't care about the accounting reports or material ledgers or whatever they kept on the damn thing, I do care about the hardware. So if I was to find you back here with that data core in your cargo hold, clean cut and complete, well then, I could see my way to doing a straight barter for those feed lines. Karsten pauses, sniffs the air again. You just need the coordinates. Okay. What do we think? Do we question him, or do we question him about why he wants what he wants? Do we question him that it's just a simple trade, or do we just say, let's do it? It looks like we're going to go out on a mission, everybody. I thought we wouldn't get to it, but I think we're going to. Dwarlo says, I think we just do it. Let's just do it. Let's just, don't even think. We're just going to do it. All right, then. He holds out a heavy hand for you to shake, and as you automatically reach out, he grabs your forearm instead. Dwarlo, keep your head down and don't ask too many questions. Karsten pulls you closer, squeezing your arm. Let's keep this one between us, all right? He half smiles, his face huge and close. It's our deal. Woo! I don't know if I trust this. Before you can respond, he thumbs a little drive into your palms. Those coordinates. And then he goes off on your arm. Let's go of your arm. And what you swear is a wink. You take a moment to gather yourself, and by the time you do, a whirring fills the air. Karsten having returned to his workbench. You turn and glide out of Karsten's supply with a growing mix of anxiety and excitement in the pit of your stomach and the cacophony of Factory Row in your ears. A contract. Seraphim might be impressed. You look at the drive in your palm and smile. This could be a route out. You think of leaving this place behind in possession of an improved ship, too. Suddenly, a small but firm hand falls on your back, an equally small voice coming with it. Hey, wait up! You turn in the passage to see a young woman, her hair waving, and from the rapid glide she clearly just came out to catch you. She steadies herself, using her shoulder. Sorry. She smiles a quick and flat smile. Wanted to catch you. I'm Judy. Her dark eyes flick around nervously. You notice the portable terminal she carries, something data scrappers call a deck, and her backpack full of components and trailing wires. We don't ask a lot of questions. We're just gonna turn away. Hey! Junie pulls on your shoulder. Give me a sec. Karsten. She starts, still catching her breath. He sent me to grab you. She smiles that flat smile again. Wants me to come with you on that job. Her eyes shoot down to the drive in the palm of your hand. She smiles again. We don't ask questions. That's what I've learned from Jorla. Just say okay. Yeah, she grins. Okay, cool. So, she looks around the bathroom. Should I meet you at your ship and you can tell me when you're ready to go? Sounds good. We just made a friend, everybody. We don't ask too many questions. We just made a friend. Okay, great. Her eyes light up. She notices she still has her hand on your shoulder and takes it off. Junie pushes off and waves. Looking forward to working with you. She calls back as an afterthought. Let's let her go. You watch her disappear down the passage. Things are getting complicated already, but at least you have a contract and a way to get the feed lines. Junie clearly works with data based on the gear she was lugging around, which might make her useful when it comes to pulling out a data core. But the question is, what does she get out of it, and why didn't Karsten mention her sooner? You consider your options as you head back to the rig. New locations discovered, new local crew available. I don't know about this sleeper. Seraphim looks nervously out the rig's window as you finish explaining Karsten's deal, as well as Junie's offer of help. If this job was easy, Karsten would have done it himself already. That means there's a catch. He frowns at the stars. And then there's definitely something going on with this Judy girl. He shakes his head. I think she would be useful. No doubt, shakes his head. And we desperately need help on a job like this. What if, Seraphim narrows his eyes, we could get the cryo together to buy the feeds? Why? Karsten wants to barter. You're right, Seraphim sighs. I just can't shake the feeling that we're wandering in blind. Plus, Seraphim gives you a sly look. I did manage to turn something up in my station laundering. I found a contract board at the exchange further in the station. He gestures towards the export. We take on a job that might help us get some way towards buying those feed lines. Plus, even if we do want to take Carson's job, a bit of money to get ourselves prepared wouldn't be a bad idea. Fill up on fuel, supplies, be ready for whatever comes. I'll take a look. Good. While you're at it, you might want to see if you can scare up some freelance crew too, Seraphim shrugged. Many hands make light work and all that. Or we stop messing around, we take Carson's job right now and get it done before you can think twice, Seraphim yawns. Seems like a whole set of bad options to me. Either way, I've still got work to do on the drive. Seraphim nods a farewell, heading back to the engine room. Let me know what you decide. For a moment you pause, letting the haze of plans and ideas settle into your mind. Suddenly, you curl up, pain shooting along your spine. You grit your teeth, your muscles locked tight, your vision narrows as you squeeze your eyes shut. You feel a shift, as if some connection is broken. It's almost impossible to describe, like you're floating away from your body, dispersing, dissolving. There's nothing familiar in the pain, nothing to hold on to. You grit your teeth. And then another shift comes and you're back in your body, trembling against the metal wall of the passage. The pain slowly fades, becoming a pulsing throb and then a residual flicker. You flex in 0G, stretching out the tension. There's a strange sensation of distance that persists beyond the pain, a disconnection between your body and yourself, a flickering numbness that refuses to recede. You wonder if the reboot has done something to your body or if this is some new sensation you'll have to live with indefinitely. I mean, basically, that's turning 30, you know what I mean? Something, a new sensation or something you're gonna have to live with for the rest of your life. It strikes you that you know so little about the body that houses you. It could be moments away from collapse, or it might persevere for countless cycles like this. You try to shake off the feeling, pushing your hands against each other until they feel like yours again. Time is the only thing you need, and right now it feels like it's running out fast. You head for the airlock. You have work to do. Okay, you've unlocked a contract. Open the map screen to view it. Okay, so this is our little section of space right now, local, because we can't go very far. We don't have any fuel. Contracts are high-risk, high-reward jobs that you and your crew can take on. Contracts require preparation and care to succeed. You'll need to gather enough fuel to travel to the contract, gather as many supplies as you can afford to keep you and your crew going, look for opportunities to recruit crew, temporarily or permanently, to help you on a contract. Consider which crew to take carefully. They have different skills and stress resistances, and who you choose to affect and who you choose can affect the story. Once you're ready, you can select the contract from the map and then your crew to proceed. So we could finish out the day. I think we're going to finish out the day because we've already used 2 of our dice. And then we'll head out. Because we asked our crew to look for fuel today, we have 2 pieces of fuel, 2 supplies, and still a little bit of money. Contract board, we could get more money. We probably need to eat. Let's go ahead and try to do that first. Let's see, how much does it cost? 13. Or what are you? Okay, so this is going to be just a snack. It's gonna help us a little bit, but not too much. You can see just under the dice is that little white line. That's one segment of our hunger, and it will go away tomorrow. So we do want to let's just fill up and make sure we're feeling good and ready for our action. It is very helpful to have fuel and supplies, but we don't really have any money. We could try to sell raw scrap that we do not have. We could take a shift, but we are not very good engineers. Interface we do have, so we could make some money, just odd jobs. We can't buy the feed lines, we don't have a data core, so that's what we're going to need to do when we come back. So I think what we might want to do here is just try to make some money. So let's do that. Yeah. Let's try to make some money. Y'all, do you want to gamble? You want to see if we can make money gambling? We don't have great chances, but... Jawar Hello says, I mean, if Junior or Carson betrays us, we can always offer their heads. That's what I'm saying. Totally, let's gamble. Let's try to give ourselves the best possible outcome. We're gonna play Star and Stoker. SMS is a space gambling game played with custom magnetic dice. Chips are stashed in symbol marked cans, and winning is ruthlessly luck-based. Let's throw some off with their heads in the chat for good luck, because we are risking all of our money. Neutral outcome. Good job, everybody. We have 5 more cryo than we did before. Risk it, risk it. We did it, we risked it, and we got 5 cryo. Let's try the contract board. What do you guys have? Okay, so now we have money to buy the contract. Station management have located a Conway signal. They're concerned to see one so close and looking for someone to disable it. Let's buy that. Okay. So now we have less money than we did, but we now have 2 options for missions. We can try to use our 2 fuel to go to the station, get rid of that call, make some money, or we could just head straight to the fuel line or to try to get the data core for barter. We don't have enough fuel yet, but we probably will next cycle. So what do you think? Are we headed straight to the main mission, or are we going to try to make some money? Okay, Dr. Mono's got that money. Got that money in mind. I think we are going to take a nice little nap. Let's re-roll, because we only have 2 ones at this point. A new day. Ooh, our dice are not bad. No 1s, nothing below a 3. You can see that on the run clock is continuing to fill. But we have now 3 fuel, because we asked our crew to be looking out for fuel. So we can go out and explore and get some money. And our drives have updated, so we can get the board contract, escape export, recruit a local crew. We're still gonna ask it for fuel. Okay, let's head out. Let's get that money. Okay, this is our first mission. This is where stress comes into play, and the dice, and all that jazz. So, hold on. I think it's just gonna be us on this one. So Seraphin's out. Seraphin is our pilot, so he's permanently in our crew. Junie, who is on our ship, is not going to come with us because this is not the mission that she's offered to help us with. So it's just going to be me and Seraphin. We're going to confirm our crew choices. And here we go. Let's make some money. Or die. Oh, okay, they re-rolled our dice. Never mind. So we do have a 1. Seraphin. It's a drone. Seraphin spots the signal source first, the light barely shimmering off its dark hull plate. A design trait that betrays its covert use. A flash catches your attention and you see a rent in the hull. Through red light's pulse. Wounded, Seraphin shakes his head. Wish they'd finished the job. We don't ask questions. Seraphin looks back over his shoulder towards you. I hate these things. He looks at the drone. Lane had us work on one in a darkside bay, though it was barely a shell, disarmed and deactivated. He had us searching through its guts for salvage. Even that one gave me creeps, and it had its core ripped out. He pushes the ship closer. This one is still live. Seraphine carefully glides the ship closer. You watch the drone. System is full of these things now, running missions for their operators. Rare to see one out in the belt, though. Maybe got hit in a run-in with a Senate stat merc? It looks like it's drifting. Most of the system's blown out, but look here. He jabs a finger towards a red light on the far side of the drone. It's still broadcasting and maybe even receiving. How do we shut it off? Seraphine brings you ever closer. What I remember from the dark side job is that the central core and the broadcast array need to be shut off to kill these things. Core will turn off local systems and the broadcast array will sever the link with the convoy operators. Seraphine swallows. But you can bet those systems are protected. We're gonna let him finish. Your attention is suddenly drawn by a shudder from the drone, like a tremor running along its length. This thing is rigged to blow, Sleeper. He frowns. We go slow and careful, and we don't touch anything we don't know about. You nod along automatically, slow and careful. Seraphine brings the rig to a stop, close enough for you to cross through open space to reach the drone's hull. Let's suit up. You head down the airlock to prepare. As you get suited up, you think of the corporate war taking place in the inner system. The war that this drone was driven from. Out here, on the shore of the conflict, the biggest danger is that this flotsam and jetsam drifting in with the tides and the orbits of the system might, one cycle, bring the war with it. For now, the belt is outside of its reach, but looking out at the red pulsing drone, that doesn't give you much comfort. Okay, welcome to first contract. While on a contract, you will be able to assign 2 dice for each crew member as you would assign your own dice. Pay attention to the crew's skills to use them effectively. On certain outcomes, the crew will take crew stress. When their stress is full, you will no longer be able to use them to perform actions. While on a contract, your energy bar will automatically be supplied for each cycle that you have available supplies. So we have 2 days of food, is essentially what it's saying. And after 2 days, we're gonna have a problem. Contracts also have their own contract stress. When this bar is filled, the contract will fail. Good luck. Okay, y'all. We are undersupplied and ready to go. I'm just gonna check out. We have 2 different objectives here. I'm gonna check out what each implies. Seraphine, by the way, bottom left. We can use his skill. He has Endure, which we do not have, which is great. But he rolled 2 2s, and that's not very helpful. So we have, in this area, is Identify the Route and Intuit, and Endure. So, not great for either of us. If we mess up too much, the drone is rigged to blow. It will explode. So we have to be very careful about failing, and very careful about whether or not we decide to continue to use our dice in desperation or not. If we stress out the drone, it will explode. If we stress out Seraphine, he will leave us. If we stress ourselves out, we can break our dice. And we have essentially 2 days, because after 2 days, we will have no more food, and stress will automatically incur, because when you're starving to death, you get stressed. So things are not looking good for us on this. Okay, what's the next one? Okay, so reprogramming the hatch requires interface, which we have. That's our best skill. So this is the one most likely for us to succeed in. That's great. Neither Seraphine or I have engineer. So if we go about this one, we're going to go about it by reprogramming the hatch, and we're not trying to release the hatch. Seraphine will leave permanently, or just for this? Just for this mission. Oh my gosh! Hello, Mr. Snow Gentleman. Welcome in. Thank you so much for following. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far, because we're about to get into some serious damage. But no, Seraphim will just go back to the ship and be like, hey, I'm way too stressed out. I can't deal with this. He'll just go back to the ship. Once we go back to base, he'll come back to us, and his stress will reduce. Our stress, however, will remain, and we'll have to figure out how to deal with that. But I think our first option here is to we're just gonna do what is going to get us the best possible results. We are very good at interfacing. I'm gonna put both of our 5s in here. So we're just gonna get positive options all the way through. And how much that's gonna do for us, I don't know. Okay? Absolutely positive outcome. We have filled 2 slots up. That's great. Do we have enough to do this for 2 days? We don't have a lot of time. We don't have a lot of time to say, like, hey, we're just gonna skip. Okay. So I'm gonna throw in our 4 as well, because that's a pretty good, hopefully positive chance. Great. Perfect. So in 1 day, with just that, just our positives, we were able to halfway complete control access. So theoretically, if we roll well tomorrow, we can finish this by end of day, before our supplies run out. Okay. Or we could keep going. We could put that 3 in there, try to see if we can go a little bit more. But we do also have to complete hull damage. And it's equally difficult to do. Seraphim did not roll well. Seraphim has 2 2s. And he has endurance, but there is no, like, he's not great at it. So he's just gonna roll those straight 2s. We can sacrifice him if we want. Or our character, each character class has a special ability that you can use on missions. Our character class, called Push, is for 1 stress, we can re-roll our lowest dice. Our lowest dice is a 1, and if we re-roll it, maybe we'll get something that will help us get that positive score we really need. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna risk it, and we're going to add stress to try to roll better. So let's do it. Okay, y'all. I don't know if you saw that, but we have a gain to stress. You can see the little red dot up there. We rolled our 1, and it's now a 2. Isn't that nice? So we're gonna get desperate here. We're gonna be a little desperate. Let's push that up to a 4. Hope for the best. Okay, neutral outcome. Great. While on contract, you can use your push ability, we have already done this, to give you an edge in a tricky situation, pushing your crew's 1 stress, but it will give you a key advantage based on your chosen class. It didn't give us 1. We rolled a 2. Yeah. So, that's what we get. I am also going to push for this 2, which is going to be a 3. Because we got a good thing. We can figure this out tomorrow. Speed in this case is going to be really important for us. So here we go. Wish me luck in the chat, because we really need this. If it's positive, that would be amazing. But neutral, I'm totally fine with. Okay, perfect. Fine. Totally fine. So we will likely get this done tomorrow with any sort of lucky rolls at all. We will be able to figure this out tomorrow. I don't know if we're gonna push Seraphim. Maybe we'll see just 1. We'll just 1 dice for him. Oh, I don't know. Chat, what do you think? Are we gonna try to push Seraphim and just see what happens? do we want to just see? He put dumb 2s down. It was not helpful for us. 2s are our enemies. From here on out in this game, 2 is the worst you can do. I'd rather get a 1. No chance for a positive outcome. Maybe just skip him today. Okay, Twarla. That's pragmatic. That's what our character would do. Okay. We're gonna head back to the rig. And we're gonna end the cycle. And again, when we're here, when we're on a mission, you actually cannot recover stress. You can do it when you go back, but when you're literally on the mission, you will continue to accrue your stress. There's nothing you can do about it. Here we go. Okay, we've rolled as well as we could possibly have hoped for. Seraphin got 1 6 and 1 1. That's not helpful. But we did get a 1, and we could try to re-roll it and hope we don't get a 2 or another 1. But let's see if that's necessary as we play. We are going to absolutely demolish this. I'm going to use the 5 to just give us the absolutely positive that we need. Okay. Here's the question. Do I use a 4 and bump that up to a 5 and then possibly have to use 2 dice, or do I use the totally positive outcome guaranteed to finish this cycle and then hope for good things for 4? Now let's see. This is where the strategy comes in. This is where you really have to wonder about what you want to do, because that 6 is looking really good, but we do get a 5 automatically because we're really good. What are the percentages with a 4? So if we use the 4 and slot it in, it's 50% positive, 50% neutral. If we get neutral, only one of those slots will fill, and we will have to use another dice anyway to finish this. So what do we think? Do we want to just get this over and done with and call it good? Or do we want to hold on to those 4s? Because the 4, I think, is going to be without a bump. It's going to be 25% positive, 50% neutral, 25% negative. Here, we can look over here what might happen. Let's say in the 4. Yeah, so I think we use the 4 here. Okay. We're going to use the 4 and bump that up to the 5 and hope for a positive outcome. Okay, Dwarla. If we end up having to burn 2 dice here, that could be a major problem for us. So let's see what happens. Okay, exactly what we were worried about happened. So now we still need 1 more dice to roll. And I'm going to roll that 4 because we don't need a positive outcome. We just need a neutral. Of course we got a positive outcome. Of course we got the positive outcome on the second roll. We didn't need it. But we have not stressed out the drone, and we didn't stress ourselves. I told you to use the 6. There's no positive proof otherwise. No one could possibly prove otherwise. Okay. We've completed the hatch. You hear the beeping immediately. Among the chambers and cabling of the drone's interior, something has started counting down. Shit! Seraphin's voice comes hissing through the suit's comm channel. This is what I was worried about. Are we screwed? We don't ask questions. I don't want to leave, though. I can't be sure. Seraphin has dropped his voice to a whisper as if it might make a difference. Either this thing is about to send out a distress call, or it's about to blow. We've got to shut this system down fast, he pauses. Then we move on to the other side, because I bet you there's a surprise waiting for us there, too. You take a moment in silence. All right, time to deal with this fast. Then get over to the other side before something happens. Okay. So something bad's about to happen. Do we want to try to disconnect the backup in the core? You see the drone is running on backup power. You disconnect that carefully, and you'll be one step closer to a full shutdown. So we're either going to try to disable whatever is about to happen, or we continue on with what was going on below. This is obviously going to happen much faster than 2 cycles. And if we screw up, it's going to speed up our demise. So, good thing Seraphim rolled a 6, but he doesn't have into it. So I think we are literally the only people who can deal with this, so we might want to put our 6 in here. It might be a good thing that we didn't use it up, Dwar. Hello. Okay. We're gonna disable the core, we're gonna shut down the broadcast array, we're gonna make this work. Let's do it. Okay. So we only need one more positive outcome here. Is this a point where we have our push? We still have push. We can do that special ability every day we're out here. So far, the stress hasn't done anything to us, but we could push one more, add one more stress, and re-roll that one and hope we get such a better, like, not a 2. This might be worth it. What do you think? Do we push and re-roll our die? Do we just move on and hope for the best tomorrow? Because we still have 1 supply. We still have another day before stress starts going at us. Go for it. Push that 1. Okay. Let's push it. Oh, chat. Oh, chat. We push the 1 to get another 1. And because our stress is now at 2, anytime we roll a 1, that die that rolled that 1 will take damage. So you can see that the 3 yellow bars below the dice, under the 1, now has only 2 segments. You've taken damage to a dice because of stress. When your dice are rolled at the start of the cycle, your stress dictates if you take damage or not. Higher stress means higher chance of damage. The white markers above the stress bar will tell you which numbers damage your dice will roll. Each dice has 3 dice health. When this is depleted, the dice will break and must be repaired to be used normally. Okay? So we rolled a 1. So we're not going to mess with this. But Seraphim was nice enough to roll a 6. And we're going to use that dice down below. You can see bottom left. I've selected his dice instead of mine. We're going to put that in. It's a positive outcome. And we're just going to do what we can. Sure, Hello says, well, that couldn't have gone worse. Yeah, no, it couldn't have gone any worse than that. But we're okay. We're fine. The drone is not blowing up. You know, so that's good. Let's keep on the positive side. Okay, and we are forced to end the day in very bad circumstances. Let's hope we don't roll any 1s or damage our dice any further. Oh, okay. You've used all your energy and are now starving. While starving, you gain 1 stress per cycle. So now we will continue to accrue stress because we have no food. And on top of that, the dice on the far right rolled 1. So we took another damage because every time we roll 1, we damage our dice. So we are now 1 damage away on that dice from losing a dice entirely. So that's how our day is going. But it's okay. We're gonna be okay. Seraphim rolled quite nicely. So I'm going to head over here. We are going to make sure that this drone countermeasure doesn't happen. We are going to shut this down, hopefully with a 5. I'm using my highest dice here. I'm not playing around with this. We are going to make this work. Okay. Awesome. We are halfway through the job. The drone countermeasures, I think, probably still going. We only have a couple days left, but we're halfway through the job. We just have to finish down below what is happening there. So we just need to fill this sucker up, and we need to do it well. So let's start off with Seraphin, because he's got the 6, and it's going to be totally positive for him. Dwar Hello says, is there a way to repair dice? Yes, there is a way to repair your dice. However, we don't have that yet. That comes unlocked later. So currently, no, we don't have a way to do that. We will eventually. So you are not stuck with 4 dice for the rest of the game, but it's still going to be inconvenient for a little bit. Okay, we did very well. That's great. We're needing to get through. I'm gonna hit my 5. I'm just gonna do this like highest to lowest at this point. This is all we need to do. We just need to get this going. Fuck. Okay. Sorry for my French just then. We have added one more stress. We're gonna add another stress at the beginning of tomorrow. That's gonna mean that any rolls 1 or 2s are going to be damaged. And now we're on to 4s, and we're hoping for the best for these. We just need... Okay. Yeah. Nope. It's not great. It's not great, but we're in a desperate situation, and this is what we're doing. The rare curse from Jill. This game is stressful. But you know what? I'm gonna give a little stress to our friend Seraphin, because he can deal with it. Oh, awesome. Seraphin rolled a 2. We are looking really good to get this done tomorrow. Unless something really bad happens. Or we could press our luck with the 1 and see what happens, chat. Because we do have that ability. It will give us an extra stress, and it means anytime we roll a 1, a 2, or a 3, those dice will be damaged. And we're gonna get another stress tomorrow anyway, so that's gonna happen to us anyway. So you know what? I'm gonna do it. You know? Wish me luck in the chat. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Here we go. We rolled a 6. We rolled a 6. That's what we needed. We needed that so bad. Okay. Let's just go ahead and roll this. It's all gonna be fine. We're gonna get a positive outcome. We need literally just 1 good die tomorrow. That's all we need. We're gonna get stressed because we're starving to death. But, it's all gonna be fine. Am I gonna break a dice? That's the real question here. Please roll well. Nope, we broke our dice. We broke our dice. So we have 4 dice available to us. One of your dice is broken due to losing all its dice health. Broken dice can be repaired at the rig. I didn't get to see the full thing, but later. Don't worry about it. We went from being pragmatic to just F it. Yeah, no, I mean, we got 3 6s though. We're gonna be okay. We did, because we rolled a 1, damage to one of our dice as well, but you know, it's totally fine. Oh my gosh, Seraphin rolled 2 1s. He's useless. I don't know, I'm never bringing Seraphin on another mission. That's all I'm saying. But that's fine. We've got a 6 here. We're going to get this done. Now, what's going to happen? Let's find out. Okay. Now that you are in the broadcast array of the drone, you need to shut it down fast. The simplest way is to put the entire system offline. Thank gosh, we are good at interface. So we are going to we're going to finish this. We're going to do we've got 2 positive outcomes guaranteed. We're going to do this. Awesome. Amazing, amazing. We don't even need Seraphin for this. Perfect. Okay. I think we've got exactly what we needed. The thrumming, pulsing interior of the drone goes still for the first time since you boarded it. You look across at Seraphin, who, by the way, is useless, and share a smile. You exhale so loudly it can be heard over the suit's shared comm channel. The drone is dead. Seraphin slaps the metal inside the drone. Too easy, you ugly bastard, he grins. You make your way back out to the hull. The drone is now faintly rolling in one direction, its stabilizers offline. You and Seraphine glide out across the hall towards the rig. Feels good to shut down corporate property, he smiles. They deserve everything they've got coming for trying to take the alien back. You reach the rig's airlock and take one last look at the drone's dark hull. It catches the light as it rolls into the vacuum. At some point in the near future, this drone will likely be smashed to pieces by one of the many asteroids of the belt. Spread across the place is twinkling dust. The thought pleases you. As does the thought of all that cryo Hexport now owes you. Time to go collect. We made our money, y'all. Contract is concluded. You can leave via the map. You can now travel back to the hub. Once you leave, you will not be able to return. Yeah. And we get 5- stress just by leaving. Perfect. We're getting out of here. Jawar Hello says, Seraphine's about to be sent out the airlock if he doesn't start rolling better. That's what I'm saying. Okay. We're back at Hexport. But our stress is still, it's still at 2. So if we roll a 1, we start to damage our dice. After docking at Hexport, Seraphine lets go of the controls and leans back in his chair. Feels good to make a contract work. He smiles no matter how we pull it off. It's hard not to agree, and it feels better when the Hexport courier comes with a lockbox full of chits. Lane may still be hunting you, but this should help the effort to slip his net. Poof. Okay, and while we were out in space, we're still in the same region, so our clock for needing to get out of here before we're found has still been going on while we've been, doing things. We are starving to death. That's sort of important. But we made a lot of money. You can see down below under the cargo at the bottom. It's now 200, so we've got some money to spend. So next time when we go on to the next mission, we're going to be full of, here we go. Look, it costs 20 cryo to fill up our fuel. Totally free. We can carry our supplies for 75. We're good. We've still got 100. We are going to eat like kings. You know what? I'm going to fill up on some fries too. We're going. We're painting the town here. Still got 91 cryo. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to try to reduce stress because we do not want to be breaking any more die. So we are going to rest and recover. I'm going to make sure that this happens safely. Boom. Stress gone. So our stress is depleted. We have all the fuel we can carry. We have all the supplies we can carry. We can go out and about through the day and see various things that we can do. We can try to gain more money. We can try to do, whatever. Or we could head out to the final mission and see what we can do. We're in a much better place to try to do things. Chat, do we finish out the day, and do you want to leave the final mission for y'all's playthrough? Do you want us to push and go through and see what the final mission entails? I'll leave it up to you. I'll just continue to kind of look around and see what we can do here. No, we don't have that, so we don't want to do that. Great at this, but we're almost done with it anyway. Let's see. Dwarlo says we might need more crew before doing the final mission. That first one wasn't easy. No, it was not. But we will have more people because Junie is coming with us on the second mission. Let's chat. Let's just chat. Let's just, we don't have great. Okay, there we go. As you are gliding across the docking concourse, you hear a scuffle. The noise of raised voices cuts through the conversation drifting out of the dockside shops. Glancing down an alley, you see a huddle of figures shouting back and forth. You spot one man in the middle of the group, surrounded, pushing the others back as they grab at the bag slung under his shoulder. You don't like the way this looks, but then again, Seraphim told you to keep your head down. Let's see if we can cause a distraction. Neutral outcome, perfect. You look around for something that could break up the fight and see a thick cooling pipe running down the alley wall. You quickly try to understand the system and choose a valve to start spinning. As you do, the system begins to vent in sequence down the alley, violent jets randomly bursting into the air. There's a scramble in the alley and you spot the figure who was being attacked drop down to the alley floor. Then your vision instantly fills with pale liquid as a jet of coolant jumps out nearby, missing you but sending you spinning in 0G. After a few moments, you manage to steady yourself. As you do, you see a clear alley, the assailants having fled, with one figure gliding towards you. I suppose you think that was clever. The man gives you a severe look. You like to break up fights. You didn't start? He laughs. Belt's gonna eat you up. He shifts the large bags on his shoulder, weightless but unwieldy in 0G. I was helping? The man laughs. Well, he shakes his head. Thanks, I guess. He kicks off and drifts past you. You watch the man go, and then after a moment, he stops and turns back. He rubs his forehead, looking down as he goes. What's your deal, anyway? He sighs. Maybe you are new here, but Hexport is no place for do-gooders. I need help. The man raises his eyebrows. So you look for trouble? He shakes his head. You've got it all wrong. Look, let's not hang around, all right? The man pats his chest. I'm Femi. He unshoulders one of the bags and pushes it towards you. Make yourself useful. Let's head. You get the strap of the bag over your shoulder and follow him through the docks, gliding past the concourse towards the connecting bridges. He cuts down a side passage, looking back to check you are following. Then he stops at a docking bridge connecting to a dull green ship with yellow markings. You look out at the viewing window, and its odd catamaran-like shape, seemingly built from two separate hulls welded together. Symbol crash, he says, and you assume that's the ship's name. Femi, you bring in strays? A young woman, brightly dressed and stretching as she glides, drifts into the passage. She glides at you. No offense. Naya, Femi shakes his head. This one, he squeezes your shoulder. Help me fend off some Hexport scum while you're busy sunning yourself. Naya raises an eyebrow. I'm sure you can handle it, big brother. Her glib response hides the flash of concern that passes across her face. You can tell Femi noticed. Naya turns to you. Thanks, she smiles sweetly, and I'm sorry for my brother. She shoots him a glance. Just in general. Naya, Femi murmurs, enough now. He reaches over and takes the bag you were carrying. Naya rolls her eyes at you but stays silent. Factory Row wouldn't take these. Femi hefts the bag. I'm gonna load them back up. Maybe we'll find a use for them. He turns back to you. Thanks for the assist, Sleeper. He nods firmly. Not what I expected. He slaps the button for the bridge door and kicks off along the docking bridge on his way to the symbol crash. Naya looks at you, raising eyebrows. I hope my brother was joking, or did you really help him? It was nothing. Humble and a hero, she laughs. Thank you. She looks back at the ship. My brother needs help more than he admits. It's okay. She pauses, thinking. I want to ask you something. She takes a deep breath, then gives you a direct look. What's she building up to? Are you looking for a crew? She looks away. Sorry to be direct, but you seem like, well, if you're on Hexport, maybe you are with a crew. She stops herself. I mean, maybe your crew needs a crew. Maybe you are looking? I am. She struggles to hide her smile. Naya looks back at the ship, then at you. Look, I'll be honest. Being on a crew with my brother is nice, but he is suffocating me. She frowns at her own bluntness. I'm not a kid anymore, you know? But he still sees me like one. She shrugs. I want to show him I can handle myself. I need experience. I need to run with some contracts. She gives you a determined look. What do you say? I'll think about it. I'm a good salvager, all right. You can use me, she smiles. I can spot things, find gaps, ways in. She folds her arms across her chest. I know what I'm doing. Femi taught me well. She glances back at the ship. Just consider it, all right? Let me prove myself. Suddenly, a shout comes from the ship, echoing down the passage. Femi. He makes both of you nervous. Naya looks in his direction. I should go. She pushes off towards the docking bridge. I'll be waiting. Naya gives you one last glance as she departs, then disappears into the docking bridge, leaving you alone in the passage. Well, there you go, Jawar. Hello. We got ourselves another crew member, which we might need for the next mission. But we're going to let that mission hang in the balance, and y'all can go check out what happens in the next mission when y'all play, because I hope everybody is picking up Citizen Sleeper 2 and getting through as much as they can this weekend. I took about 15 hours or so to finish the game, but I did like every side quest I could find. If you were just going through and getting things done, it should take you a little less time, or maybe a little more time if you're having fun with it. And I hope you're having fun with it, because the game is a fantastic experience, and I hope you get to enjoy that. But, you know, either way, I hope you have an excellent Friday. I hope your rolls are great, no matter what you're trying to do. And I will see you next week.